Yes, 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 yes. Hey guys, Gerald Peters. As you know, I'm the author of this completely free book, You Don't Have to Die Broke. And that's what I want to talk to you today about, dying broke. A lot of people, millions and millions and millions of Americans will die broke. Most of the people all over the world. This book is free. There is no catch, no shipping, no mentor group. I'm not going to try to put you anything. I'm not going to follow up with you. It's up to you to read it. You have to set the intention and you have to decide that you want to get rich. Now, I decided this at age 29. I had a moment. I had what people might call a Jesus moment, a reckoning. I came to understand this idea of money, that if you did things intentionally, I met someone who gave me a book, of all things. And I began to set about my intention of getting rich. That my goal was to get rich. Now here's the problem. I didn't go to college, so I got zero college. I didn't go to trade school. I got zero trade school. I don't have a certificate. I'm not certified to do anything. So I didn't follow any of the traditional path that way. I went to high school and then I went to the U.S. Army. Now, one of the things I learned in the Army was work, hard work. And so of the things that I had working for me, was the ability to work. I had a desire to get rich and I had the ability to work. Now, I learned this ability to work in the Army. See, I had never actually experienced what hard work was until you're sitting in Iraq and it's 124 degrees and you still got to do the mission and you've been up for 2 days. So when I got back to civilian life after 7 years in the Army and a couple combat zones, my perspective on what work was a little different. Now, to all my veterans out there, thank you for your service, but you guys coming back and you're not out working the civilians, you should be ashamed of yourself. Like, you have an advantage. If you've ever spent time in the military and you pulled it off successfully, you should know what it means to suffer. And what I'm going to show you on dealing with money is just following orders, except you're the general and you get to decide. Often on my podcast, I use this idea that you're a king or a kingdom or a queen or a queendom. Queendom? That'll still be a kingdom. They should call it a queendom now if you think about it. But you're in charge of your own empire. And if you've set your intention, now you could just float through life. You could just live through life and just kind of take it as it's come, Just be like a boat out there with, a broken sail and just let the waves move you around. And you could just spend your life constantly reacting to the things that happen to you. This is what a lot of people do. They go through life just kind of reacting. And so I have a chapter in my free ebook entitled, Help, I'm 40 and I'm broke. Now, the only way to get to 40 and broke is to basically be the boat who just kind of floats around. Like, there's no intention, there's no goal setting, there's none of that. You might read a book. And what got me thinking about this today is I was reading, I'm going to do a live with a mastermind group, and we're going to riff on the book Think and Grow Rich. They asked me if it had any influence. They invited me onto their channel. And I'm trying to share and spread my message of you don't have to die broke. This is my message. Because I meet a lot of people, virtually everyone I went to high school with, virtually every friend I have, I would be willing to bet 8 out of 10 are now 49 years old and they don't have $1 million. At least 8 out of 10 of my friends that I went to school with, and many have college degrees, one of them's a doctor. I know a doctor who's the same age as me, has a net worth of about 800K. I just recently spoke to him, and he's sitting on about 200K in debt. He's a doctor. I went to the Army. The most I ever made at a job was $12.50. But I had the ability to work. Now, my work doesn't pay as much as a doctor. Nowhere near. So how could I take just the ability to work and build a net worth of, say, $3 million, which isn't rich, guys? And I know to some of you think, wow, that's pretty good. And to some people, it's beyond good. But to some people, it's nothing. And I'm not talking to those people. See, my message is to the average guy. You drive for UPS, you're a plumber, you're an electrician, you're just a normal person going about your day. There is no reason you can't stack millions of dollars. No reason whatsoever. But you have to set your intention on it. You have to get your money working properly. Things have to be set up correctly. And so you got to first get your job right. In my free ebook, I call this a well. It's not a very good well, but you know, a well where you lower a bucket down and you get some water and you pull that up, and that water gets distributed to 3 buckets. Now, I didn't invent this. Nothing that I've done in life is I invented or some unique thing that I came up with. And I didn't invent buying stocks. I didn't invent buying single family real estate. I just took what was in front of me, what was available with the skill set that I had, which was just the ability to work harder and longer than most people. So when I wanted a pay raise, I just worked 8 days a week. Literally, I created an 8th day. I talk about this in one of my books. I've written like 7 books. But in one of my books, why would I write 7 books? Why? Because a life worth living is a life worth documenting. See, Gary Vee didn't invent the idea of documenting your life. This has been around for a long time. He didn't invent the idea of gratitude. This has been around a long time. See, one of the secrets to wealth is giving. It's better to give than to receive, right out of Bible class. So we have people going around paying gurus $5,000 to be in a mentoring group, and everything you needed to know was free in Bible school. So if you give people, the science of getting rich says if you give people more in use value than you ask for in monetary value, that is the secret to getting rich, meaning give value, okay? You didn't need a guru to tell you that. You just have to pay attention to the world around you. You don't need a newsletter or a guru to tell you which stocks to buy. They're in my hand. 3M makes this. Pool companies make that. RV companies, car companies, gasoline, natural gas, right? So there's things that we could invest in. There's MLPs. MLPs are the people that get the gas to my house. MLPs own the gas lines. Those pay returns, those pay yields, right? So you got people right now making money shipping in natural gas or gas to your house. There's gasoline in the car, so that could be Exxon, right? Exxon pays a nice dividend. Exxon was just on sale. Did you notice that Exxon stock got hit pretty hard and you could have bought it at a really nice discount, right? But that would require you to be in what I call the money flow. See, all the money you want is in the pockets, purses, wallets, checkbooks, credit cards of other people, and it's floating around right now. It's being emailed and wired and text, and checks are being mailed. It's all around you. You just have to stop what you're doing, stop, and look. Who makes this? Who makes that? Who makes that? Who makes the products where you work? I met a guy the other day who works for Home Depot. Have you seen the chart of Home Depot stock? It's like this, straight up. Home Depot has gone straight fucking up for 10 years. And every employee I talk to, not a single one owns stock. Why? Because they don't give a shit about getting rich. It's just not part of their vocabulary because they've given up. You see, people think in order to get rich, you have to make a lot of money. It's just not true. Truth is, it's just a money-time equation. It's just, you know, the formula is easy to becoming a millionaire. It's just time, right? Amount invested. I've talked about this on other videos. And yield, right? Or return, or rate of return, your rate of return. And you can influence all of these irregardless. You could be a 16-year-old black girl in the ghetto. You can play this game. You could be a 45-year-old guy in the barrio. You can play this game. You could be like me and be from a trailer park. You can play this game. You're allowed to play the same game that the rich have been playing in this country for over 100 years. The game of ownership. And so if you work at Home Depot, but you don't collect dividends from Home Depot, that's because you're not trying to get rich. You got to tap into what I call the money flow. See, the first step is to change the way that you see the world and the way that you see things. You got to understand that money is just flowing. Money just comes to you. Money's everywhere. It wants to go to the people who want to put it to work. The problem is if you view money as a way of getting things, so cars, vacations, clothes, all of that shit, that is not evidence of wealth. That's not evidence of wealth. Ownership is evidence of wealth. Anyone can buy, you can go into debt to buy cars and clothes and all that kind of shit. That's not wealth. What's wealth is stocks, land, businesses, right? Shares, units, loans, mortgages or securities or notes. Notes would be a better term. These are the things of wealth. These things produce money. Just having shit is stuff that's going down in value. So the things that most people think are attributes of the wealthy, like having a jet is an expense. Having a Lamborghini is an expense. Now, I'm not against these things, but don't confuse those things with wealth, because you can own those things, rent those things, lease those things, borrow those things, and have actually no money. Like my friend who's a doctor, who's now 49 years old, the same as me, and I'm worth 3 times more, and I never made more than $12.50 an hour at a job. How is that possible? It's possible because my wife worked a job, so she worked one full-time job. I worked a part-time job, so let's call it a half a job. That'd be a better thing. I worked half a job. This is exactly what I did. So she worked a full-time job and made about $40,000 a year. I don't remember exactly, and we probably had some taxes in there. Over here, I made about $18,000 maybe part-time. So we pushed this over here. Now this required me to work 2 days a week. That left me 6 days. Remember I said we're gonna work 8 days, not 5? So that left me 6 days to work my business. Now, if I was gonna do a business, I didn't need a certificate, a diploma, a permission. I didn't need anyone's fucking permission to do business. And money comes from doing business or providing service or value to people. And so I read The Science of Getting Rich, and it says if you give people more in use value than you ask for in monetary value, you'll get rich. And so I took these 6 days. So we lived on my wife's income, totally, and I gave her my part-time check. And so we structured our life to live on that. And so everything I made working the other 6 days, we invested. And so we ended up with about a 50 to 60% investment rate. And so I would go out here, and I got to where I was making about $1,500 to $2,000 a month mowing yards. Mowing in the heat, outside, because I'm a veteran. I know what it's like to work. I've been to Iraq. I can put in the time in the labor. So labor is the one thing I have. And so I began to mow yards and save this money. When this money got to $7,000, then you got to go back 5 years, or we're going back 20 years. I purchased a house. So we're living on one income, and we're investing everything that I make from my side hustles, my business. So I started a lawn care business. And so let's just leave that up here. We want a 50% savings rate. Now this is a person trying to get rich. And you say, well, I can't do that. I know, because you fucked up your money. See, you started with, I want to live first. I want to enjoy life first. I want to take care of the necessities first, instead of the definitive purpose, right out of Think and Grow Rich, the definitive purpose, belief, faith, right? And put that shit into practice. And so you don't sign debt for the next 7 years. Why? Because in 7 years, I want to be investing. See, what people miss when you make that payment, oh, it's just a $300 payment. Well, what if you'd invested that $300 payment over the last 7 years? Instead of having zero, which your car will be worth basically zero, if you invested the amount you had in the car and you did this every month, it grows to millions of dollars over time if you understand compound interest. Well, you can begin to apply that to everything. And so if you're on purpose, if you're on point, and you're investing 50%, you understand compounding, you understand time, you understand amount, and you understand rate of return, that you can affect those. That if you figure out using your brain, if you begin to study, in chapter 15 of Think and Grow Rich, he says there's 3 things that are going to steal your wealth: doubt, indecision, what is it? Doubt, indecision, and how did I forget this already? Doubt, indecision. Well, we'll leave it with those. So doubt and indecision, you're fearful. And so you don't invest in the stock market because it might go down. And what you don't understand is when the stock market goes down is how you get rich. And so the very time that you should be greedy, the richest investor in the world, Warren Buffett, says you should be greedy when other people are fearful. And so what people do is they get fearful. Now everyone says they understand that, and virtually no one does it. I did it. So 2008, allowed me to level up in life. Now here's why though. Because I had my money managed properly. Remember I said I had a 50% savings rate? So we had a job that pushed water into the necessities bucket. This is the savings bucket. And this is right out of my book. This is the investing bucket. So bucket 1, bucket 2, and bucket 3. You have to structure your money this way or you will be fucking broke, period. Okay? This is how it has to be. You can't just have one well. You're eventually going to have to get 2 and 3 wells. You cannot make it on one income stream in this country. I'm telling you, this is the blueprint. If you don't do this, you will die broke. So this bucket though has a hole in it. And so all the money, this is all the shit, you know, electricity, car insurance, like you have to keep paying this every month. You got to keep this hole as small as you can keep it. Like you can't start adding student loans and car payments and credit cards and all this stuff. And so what happens when you do that is you're providing for people like me. See, all my dividends come from people who just spend all their money right here. So if all your money goes from your job to this bucket, thank you for making me and millions of other people rich. We appreciate it. Now, some people make it to bucket 2. Bucket 2 is your savings. But see, they don't have a real savings account. They keep it kind of small. It's an emergency fund. It seems like there's always an emergency in their life. I call this the do-over account. I want this to be a hell of a lot more money than most people think. I want you to be putting money into this all the time. This needs to be constantly growing, and you can almost never touch this. Like you'd rather cut your own pinky off than touch this. Once we have the savings at the proper amount, 3 to 5 month emergency fund, and then now we're building the do-over account. The do-over account is to completely start your career, or if the stock market crashes or you lose your job, you're outsourced, any number of the things that'll fuck up your map or mess up your process of building, that has to cover it. This bucket here, this is why 2008 was so devastating. People worked a job, they paid this, and they had money in investments. They didn't have any savings to speak of. I'm talking about huge sums of savings, 50,000, 100,000. That if you lost your job, you got years before you need to get worried. See, when you have that, you don't have fear. You're able to now operate it. You're allowed to be in control. And so this is going to take years to build, though. It takes about 10, 15 years to build the savings to where it needs to be. And number 3, and I know some of you guys are smart guys, you're going to disagree with me, and you're probably going to die broke. So you can do it your way. I'm just telling you the way it should be done. Napoleon Hill in his book says that in the beginning, the Carnegie said to him, hey, look, this is going to take you about 20 years. Building wealth, it's going to take you about 20 years. Now, in my book, I talk about anybody can do it in 7 to 10 years, become a millionaire. Now, let me let you know something. A millionaire is not rich. A millionaire is just locked into the middle class. He's not rich. He's a lot better, feels a lot better, and I'd much rather have $1 million than not have $1 million. But don't get it confused at you need 10 million to be rich. And so that's what I'm trying to do. And I'm not there. I'm trying to get there. But by teaching other people, it helps me, right? What you think about, what you focus on, is what comes about. So what you think about is what comes about. And so this is what I'm thinking about all the time, managing my money. So the savings is done. Now we go to investments. What are the things we can invest in? Well, real estate. Real estate is one of the things that I invest in. Single family homes. I don't give two shits about your argument about apartments versus single family. I don't care. Which one are you doing? Do that, okay? That's what you need to do. So I have 15 of these bad boys. And they're all worth about $125,000 to $150,000. So I got about $2 million in real estate that pays me, brings in, I don't know, what is it bringing in? $14,000 a month, $13,000 a month, something like that. So it's coming in every month. Now, obviously, and this is not my job. Like, I still do things to make active money. This is just an investment. That's one thing that you can invest in. I also invest in stocks. So real estate is one. I also invest in stocks, dividend stocks, so stocks. I also invest in closed-end funds. Closed-end funds, closed-end funds. Uh-oh, we're getting fancy here. You're actually going to have to learn something that the gurus aren't teaching you. I also invest in ETFs. Right? I also invest in business development companies, BDCs. Right? I also invest in, what else do I invest in? MLPs. Right? I also invest in bonds. Look at all these things that you can invest in. And people say, well, I don't know what to invest in. It's thousands of things you can invest in. But it's the formula. And so I'm living on 50% of my income for this. The other 50% gets pushed over, some into savings, and then the rest into investing, which then gets pushed into real estate, business development companies, stocks, MLPs, closed-end funds. And all of these throw me off money. I only invest in things that produce money. I'm not a speculator. So if you own shares of Netflix or Amazon or Facebook, good for you, but that's not investing, that's speculating. You hope one day it goes up so that you can sell it. That is the very definition of a speculator. An investor gets a return on his money. I'm not against speculation, but don't confuse your speculation with my investing. It's two different things. So 50% savings rate, multiple streams of income, pushed into bucket one, which we have to limit the hole in bucket one. We push it into savings, which we then push it into bucket three, which is real estate, stocks, bonds, closed-end funds, ETFs, MLPs, BDCs. The savings is one of the crucial points. Bucket two protects the investments. Under no circumstance should you ever take out a 401k loan. If you ever do, just have stupid tattooed across your head. Now you may say, well, that hurts. You don't understand my situation. Listen to me. If you go through life making excuses and doing this, the reason you had to do that is you didn't have bucket two, which was savings. So what I'm trying to tell you is not to insult you. I'm trying to save your life. I'm trying to save your life. I don't want your $5,000. I want you to open your mind, look around and see the money flow. You're literally driving by money on the way to work. You pass house after house after house. You've lived in a house your whole life. You know all about it. And all of a sudden when it comes to investing, your brain gets fucking scrambled and you don't seem to understand it. You literally stand in stocks every day. You're standing in line at Walmart. You're standing in line at Home Depot. You're using, well, that's speculation, but you're using Facebook or the iPhone or the Apple or the AT&T or Verizon. This money is all around you. All around you. So did you know if you had $30,000 right now in AT&T? Well, not too long ago, AT&T fell to $28. Now, how did I know? Because I watch every day. I watch stocks that pay me money every day. I watch them like a hawk. And I have a trading strategy I call the money flow. And I have a book about it. And that book isn't free, but if you're ever interested, I'll share it with you. It's my trading strategy. It's how I've turned $250 into about $500,000 of trading and how I manage these 42 investments in the stock market. So we got our three buckets. The bucket over here investing, single family homes and stocks. And so I have a strategy for managing my single family homes. I have a strategy for managing my stocks, right? So AT&T fell, and if you looked on a chart, it looked like this. It just went down, 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 and it hit $28. And I knew that was the bottom. I mean, it didn't have to be, but I could tell that was the bottom. So what do you do when other people are fearful? This is fear. What do you do when other people are fearful if you want to get rich? You buy. And so this just happened. You're carrying it around on your phone. You're listening to it. You're talking to people who use the service. And for every share you own, they'll pay you 50 cents. And so if you own 1,000 shares, they'll pay you $500 every 3 months. And so that could be a well. You could invest $30,000 in this and make it a well. And every 3 months, you're going to get a check for $500. Could you use an extra $500? If you got a check every 3 months from AT&T for $500, would you spend it? Of course you would. So when it got down to $28, I bought 1,000 shares for $28,000. Now, how did I get $28,000? 50% savings rate, working 8 days a week. I don't take time off. I built up the money. I have a definitive purpose. My purpose is to get rich, so that is the plan, right? And so in order to do that, I have to buy things. I have to operate within this idea of indecision, fear, and doubt. I don't have any fear because I've studied the stock market for the last 18 years. I have a strategy. I teach it in a book. I don't have indecisions. I know this is a solid company. I've researched it. I know they can pay their dividend. So there's no fear. There's no fear, right? Because I learned. And so most people, ask your friends to tell you about AT&T's dividend. Most of the people you know don't know shit about this. And so they're not going to get $500. Now, I get 42 of these checks, see? 42 companies like this pay me checks every month or every quarter. And then 15 houses pay me checks every month or every quarter. And I never made more than $12.50. I never went to college. I grew up in a trailer park. I have no certifications. I'm not qualified or skilled to do anything other than to work and save my money. That's my big fucking qualification. So some of you are watching this and you have actual jobs and actual degrees and you actually do things. You went to college. And so I'm sitting here thinking, what is your excuse? If a kid who's raised in a trailer park by a single mom, whose only credit to fame is he went to the Army, that's it. My ability to work. But I learned this. I learned the strategy of the money flow. And I understand the savings rate, and I understand the effect of time versus amount and yield. And I began to understand the compounding effect of money and how you really get rich. It's not about how much you make, it's about how much you invest. So if you make $10,000 this month and I make $5,000, and you spend all 10 and I invest 2,000, I'm richer than you, man. So it's not about how much money you make, it's about how much money you invest. Make sense? And so we got to get you investing. So the 28,000 in AT&T went down. Well, I just sold off half of it. Why? Because AT&T went to like $34. It's gone up almost 30-something percent, 30% in like 3 to 4 months. Why? Well, I knew that was too low. The company can make the dividend. The price is too low. That's just basic value investing. I mean, it wasn't complicated. This was a no-brainer to me. The fact that everyone wasn't doing this, I don't know. And so my 28,000 became what? 34,000. It's still paying me the $500 a month, right? So what I did is I sold some to take that money off, and so I took it back down to 28,000. So I sold enough, and I took the 6,000 profit and I put it over here in cash in my stock account, the 6,000 profit. Why? Because I'm going to look for the next deal. So I'm going to hold these shares and I'm going to look for the next deal. And as they pay me $500, I'm going to drop it in here. Now the deal's going to come eventually. It may be something that's already in my portfolio. It may be something new because it's part of the money flows. I go through life. I look around. I'm in the stores I'm in. I pull up the chart. I'm at Walmart. I'm at Home Depot. I'm buying some soup. Campbell's soup is one that I've been playing. I wear underwear, Hanes brand. Like, the money is all around you. You just have to change the way you think. You have to begin to tap into this shit, dude. It's all around you. Walk around your house, you're buying all of this stuff. Except you're on this side of the cash register, you're buying it. You want to get on this side and start collecting it. The goal is to collect money, not spend money. The goal is to collect money, not spend money. Now you can do this. I teach all of this inside my free ebook. You don't have to die broke. Again, completely free, no mentor group, no follow-up, none of that bullshit. I'm not going to put you in some sort of weird-ass ClickFunnels. I'm not trying to mentor you or be your guru. I'm trying to show you how average, normal, everyday people can become rich in 7 to 10 years if they put their mind on it and they focus.